Begin with the latest developments in the Middle East, where the crisis is deepening this morning. The Israeli military is warning Palestinians living in the northern Gaza Strip to evacuate the area for their own safety. Now, this is a live shot of the Gaza skyline, all quiet at the moment, but Israel's military says it's planning to hit the area with heavy force within the next 24 hours. And we understand they are massing tanks along the border as well as they step up the offensive against the militants in Gaza. Now, Israeli officials say the area has been used to fire rockets at Tel Aviv. The UN, meantime, has urged Israel and Hamas to end their hostilities, calling on both sides to respect international humanitarian law and stop the loss of life. Sky News reporter Tom Rayner is in Gaza City with the latest.
This is not a suggestion that Israel is, at this stage at least, about to move troops over the border, but it is a direct warning to the residents of northern Gaza to leave their homes because, as you said there, the spokesman putting it, the phrase, they're going to hit it very hard in the next 24 hours. Now, it was from Beit Lahia, one of the main neighbourhoods in that northern district, where a series of rockets were fired at around 9 p.m. local time. It had been heralded in a television statement by a Hamas spokesman, and it came, and the two rockets were intercepted over Tel Aviv. Several more were fired, but didn't land in the city. And Israel has responded in the last couple of hours with a very, very heavy response. We've had a heavy bombardment of naval gunfire. We've had F-16 jets accompanied by Apache gunships, all focusing on targets in northern Gaza, a prelude, if you like, to what may be to come. Bear in mind that, according to the 2007 census, the northern Gaza governorate had just over 250,000 people in it. That is what we're talking about. That is the scale of what Israel is proposing in terms of people moving out. Now, earlier we saw pictures and we were able to run some pictures of an explosion that happened just around here. So this operation that they're talking about seemingly already getting underway.
And joining us now live from Tel Aviv is Gabriel Sassoon, a foreign communications advisor to the Deputy Speaker of the Israeli Parliament. Gabriel, good morning to you, and it's good to talk to somebody on the ground. Is one of the issues here that these Hamas rockets have more range now and are actually reaching into the suburbs of Tel Aviv?
Well, that's exactly right. They're now using much more advanced rockets. They're Syrian and Chinese designed rockets that can reach very deep into Israel. And Tel Aviv used to be a bubble that that used to never experience anything like this. And now they're reaching very deep into Israel. And there's more than half the country's in bomb shelters right now.
Now, how much can you tell us about this threat from the Israelis that within 24 hours there will be heavy force imposed on the Gaza Strip?
Well, we all hope there's not going to be a ground invasion, and I, for one, am hoping there's going to be a ceasefire. I hope the Egyptians come out of the woodwork and help mediate that. I don't know if you've been seeing vision of the footage of the Gaza hospitals, and we were seeing it on Israeli TV. It just breaks your heart to watch that. But I must tell you, there's a reality here. It doesn't come out of the clear blue sky. But the rockets certainly did, and I had to run to shelter twice just tonight, as you probably heard in your report just then. Hamas took a decision about a week ago. I've been consulting for a member of the Labor opposition here. I've got a lot of criticism how the government's handled things over the last couple of years. But I must say, the Israeli Prime Minister, has exercised a great deal of restraint. There's been no ground invasion thus far. But Hamas made a decision a few days ago that nobody expected, and that was to target Israeli cities. And it is a war crime, and it has to be responded to, Tim.
Yeah, look, Benjamin Netanyahu's made himself very clear. He's not going to bend to any international pressure. That's what he's saying. And the Americans have been quite quiet. So you're hoping there'll be a resolution in the Middle East without any international interference?
Well, yeah, one hopes that the parties can come to a ceasefire. I hope the Egyptians come to the fore. It's not going to be without the Americans having a word in their ear. But the truth is, the Egyptians, there's no love lost between the Egyptians and Hamas. The current Egyptian regime, remember, overthrew the Muslim Brotherhood. They regard Hamas as the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. and they privately would probably like to see Hamas pounded pretty hard. I've got to tell you, Tim, ultimately, there's no exclusively military solution to this. There's only really a two-pronged approach, if I can simplify it. A diplomatic solution with the Palestinian moderates, right, which leads to a Palestinian state in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. But at the same time, extremists like Hamas, they're like the Israeli version of Jemaah Islamiyah, but with rockets. You know, imagine if Jemaah Islamiyah was firing rockets at Sydney and Melbourne. So at the same time as there's a diplomatic negotiation and a Palestinian state being negotiated for, I think the Israeli government has really no choice but to really hit the terrorists hard. Yeah, and the reality of what... Go ahead.
True. This has to be said, though, and it's a much broader issue. I mean, this confrontation, this argument has been going on for decade after decade after decade, and there doesn't seem to be any solution to it.
Tim, I've been to Ramallah several times. I've met with Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, and I've heard him speak. I've heard Shimon Peres speak. I've even heard Benjamin Netanyahu, would you believe, speak. Back in 2009, he endorsed the two-state solution. This conflict could have been resolved yesterday, okay? And it could be resolved tomorrow. But the first thing that has to happen is there can't be any rockets coming across into Israeli cities, and there can't be 5 million people in bomb shelters. But let me tell you, the solution's there. The blueprint's there. It's going to take leadership. It's going to take... Frankly, it's going to take balls on both sides, and you know, we don't have, you know, leadership and vision are something that's sorely lacking in the world today, and particularly in this region. But when that happens, believe me, the plan exists, and diplomacy is the only way out of this in the long run. Tim, you're absolutely right about that.
All right, then maybe the women and children will stop dying. Thanks for your time. Good to talk to you. Thank you, Gabriel Sassoon.
Completely agree with you. Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Gabriel is an advisor to the Israeli government.